This is a brief overview and demonstration of the IBM Open Pages with Watson user's homepage, otherwise known as the user dashboard. When a user logs on to Open Pages, they will be presented with a dashboard which should reflect the areas of concern, interest, and responsibility for that user's role. In this example, we'll log on as an operational risk manager or a manager. The user, Oscar Madison. We see that Oscar's homepage reflects his responsibilities, and we see a variety of information in the form of visualizations, filters, favorites, other key actions such as being able to create a new record, all logically organized into various portlets. And the organization of this information, these portlets, is completely flexible and can be initially presented by an administrator who could create a homepage template for users of the same type or role to enjoy. But if those users are given the proper responsibilities, the users will then be able to further modify the homepage to his or her liking, because a user's role does change throughout a reporting period or change during the course of a risk assessment, for example. So information that they might want to see emphasized on their homepage one period of the year may be different than another period. As we explore Oscar's homepage or his dashboard, we see information organized logically to his liking. We see information such as risks with a filter for inactive risks, my risks weighting assessment. We also see some graphical representations that the user can enjoy and drill into, such as in this example, assessed operational risks by inherent risk rating. Now, the origin of these filters that present themselves on this homepage, how they're created, will be presented in another recording. But once those filters are created and available to the user, they can be easily, as you're about to see, presented on the homepage. We see other visualizations, for example, KRI by breach status. We see actually a donut graph representing the KRIs by breach status with the ability for the user to select a certain breach status such as red. We see 9 red KRIs. I could select these and it'll take me to a list of those 9 KRIs, so then I can continue to explore that type of information. Coming back to the home page via the tab here, I can do additional exploration. Looks like there's a portlet logically grouping business continuity information in various formats, issues and actions, risk assessment information. Here's favorites, where a user is able to, as he or she is going and navigating through the system, they can flag or check certain records as a favorite record so that it will show up on their homepage for easier access. Very useful when you're in the middle of testing a control or taking a periodic oversight of a risk assessment. You can access that record directly from the homepage, and then when there's no longer a need, you can remove the favorite tag and it will be removed from the favorites part of the homepage. And so let's actually take a look at how we might be able to, as an end user, be empowered to modify how my homepage is presented to me, maybe based on the time of the year in terms of what my responsibilities are. So in this example, we see that there is some business continuity information on the user's homepage, but there really isn't any information about loss events. So perhaps for the next month or so, my responsibilities will take me away from business continuity activity, and I want to emphasize more on loss event activity. So what I want to be able to do is modify my homepage or my dashboard to reflect that. Now, as an end user, if I've been giving the privileges to be able to modify my homepage, this is how I could interact with it. So I'm going to go ahead to the gear here where I can configure my home page, and it gives me a list of all of the current panels that exist on the home page. I'm going to simply say, well, for the business continuity panel, we see the name right there, let me remove that. I no longer, at least for the next period of time, want to see business continuity information on my home page. I am now going to add a panel. So I'll select Add Panel, and notice I have an ability to create different types of panels or portlets here. The chart type is actually listed right here with KRI breach status. That's an example of a chart type. We have favorite objects, which is already there. If I want workflow tasks directly available as its own portlet on my home page, I can select it here. Otherwise, I can access my workflow tasks from a separate tab on my home page here. And some other options here that you can explore. But what I want to do is create a custom panel, which is going to allow me to select different types of visualizations and filters in this single portlet. So I'll give this label and name. We'll call this loss event information. And now I have titled this portlet. I can now add individual widgets to this portlet. So I see a combination of different types of widgets that I can add to a custom portlet. Add new, chart, filter. So let me add a chart first. So I'm going to add a chart widget to this portlet first. And I'm going to call this loss event by category. That's what I want to see. Now, what object type am I pulling this information from? Of course, will be the loss event object type. Is there a filter I'd like to run so I only see loss events that meet a certain filter? I can either select a filter, or in this case I'll leave it blank. No filter information, just all loss events that I have visibility to. How do I want this visualization to be? Do I want it a bar, a donut, a horizontal bar? We see a number of options here. Pie. I'll go ahead and select donut as the visualization type. Now, implied by the label loss event by category, I must want to see a breakdown of loss events by, in this case, risk category. So I'll select the enumerated field listed here in the drop down, risk category. I'll select done, and now I can go ahead and add another widget. In this case, I'm going to add a filter, and I want to see recently entered loss events. First, I need to select filter count. Then I'll select loss event as the object type. And in the filter, it'll give me a list of all available filters, public filters and personally created filters, again in another recording about how these are originated. And I'll go ahead and select the respective filter, which in this case there's one called recently entered events. Click done. Now that I've completed creating my panel, click done. I don't want to make any other changes to my home page, so I now click done one last time, and now I have access to loss event information. It puts it at the bottom of my dashboard, and then I can go ahead and drag it up and put it perhaps up here at the top, and I can have now loss event information in place of the previous business continuity information. And now I can access specific loss event by category. I can hover over the various sections of my my donut, and then access to my recently entered events. In this case, looks like there are 2 events that were recently entered as defined by the filter.